Hi, my name is Kay. I'm 20 years old, and this is Figuring Out My 20s. This episode is Confusion About College. Before we get into this episode, I just want to give you a little life update and apologize for missing last Friday's upload. I ended up going to see family on the day that I went to record, and then just kind of let it slip my mind that I still needed to record this video last week. So you're getting it this week. On top of that, I went and I got my second holes, my second piercings re-pierced. I don't know what you would call them, but I have two again. I had two before, but they ended up closing, so I just went and got them re-pierced. They're really cute. I'm really happy about them. I've been wanting to do it for so long. I probably said I was gonna go get them pierced maybe 6 months ago. Told myself I would do it, and I would do it, and I would do it, and I never got around to doing it. So I finally did it. These earrings are actually adorable, and I like how big they are. I did go to Claire's instead of going to my normal piercer, just because I thought I was gonna end up saving money. Did not save money, actually. It was about the same price for me to get my earrings done as it was for me to get my nose and belly button pierced. So that's crazy. Anyways, I also spent 2.5 hours washing and styling my hair yesterday. I did a nice clarifying shampoo and then a hydrating conditioner and then a deep conditioning mask, and then I did a leave-in and lots of water for the curls, as you can see here. But I slept on it and it like matted, not matted, but it just like was flat to the back of my head and to the side, so it's shaped a little weird. It did not look like this yesterday. Um but it's fine. I'm like not even paying it that much attention because the biggest thing for me is moisturizing it and keeping it healthy so that way it grows in good and yeah, just so that way it's healthy really. There was another update, I think. I don't remember. So yeah. Um, with that, let's get right into this video. As I've mentioned in a couple videos before, I uh, do not have a degree and I have no intentions in going back to school, but I did struggle pretty intensely with confusion about college and um, yeah, I mean, so I just want to talk about it and put it out there so that way maybe somebody who's listening or comes across this video um, has something to reference. Um, the pressures of college for me started really young. Neither one of my parents finished college. They both started college, but neither one of them did more than a year. So both of my parents were pretty insistent that I needed to go to college and finish school, get a degree, and then lead a better life. And I completely understand that their intentions were to ensure that I lived a better life than they are because both of my parents are still struggling in life now. Um, but I mean, yeah, when you start out so young, like I was just convinced that that was my only option. And I think because I felt like it was my only option, it led to me feeling confused and unsure about my decisions now. That ties into a false sense of confidence in going to college, but not knowing what for. Things were just really backwards for me because I was clear on the sentiment that I was going to college, but there was nothing backing it. There was no foundation for the plan. It was just kind of an empty plan, or really just like an idea, I guess. Excuse me. Um, that didn't lead, but this played a big part in why I didn't end up going to school, but a lack of life experience led to uncertainty. So I've said this before and I'll say it again, but basically, not having like normal life experiences, not being able to go out with um friends and just enjoy like normal kid stuff, not being able to explore life or explore paths like a lot of people um get to enjoy. People get to experience different things. Some people get to ride dirt bikes. Other people get to volunteer. Some people grow up watching what their parents do. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't really do much as a kid. I was a big reader. I love writing, but I did not spend very much time exploring the world around me. I didn't spend a lot of time interacting with other people outside of like school and sports, um, so on and so forth. And not seeing a lot, I had things that I was interested in, but nothing that I felt passionate about, and I just couldn't choose. I wanted to do everything because I wasn't sure what I liked more or what I wasn't going to enjoy, and that really held me back. um I was pressured into a major that I didn't feel confident about. So my parents, both of my parents, um in a way, I mean, they both did this. So both of my parents wanted me to major in a science. It wasn't like something they conspired together about. It was just one had an idea of what they wanted me to do, and another had an idea of what they wanted me to do, and it ended up being the same exact thing pretty much. With that being said, I had this like heavy, large weight on my shoulders to fulfill what they wanted. More often than not, there was very little to no room for me to consider another option. Obviously, I from time to time would think about other careers or things that I felt more connected to, but at the end of the day, when you have somebody constantly telling you, hey, do this, hey, do this, hey, this is what you should do when you go to school, this is what you should get a degree in, this is what job you should have, consistently throwing that at you, it feels more like a demand than an option or a suggestion. And I mean, that's how it felt for me. It felt like they were insisting that I do this thing, and rather than listening to myself or even having a moment to consider what I wanted for myself, I just said, yes, okay, and kind of went with it. um, Feeling petrified by the idea of committing to a major. As I said before, with the lack of experience and having a lot of interest but nothing that I was strongly connected to, not one thing more than the other, I was really just worried about having to pick a major and committing to something that I wasn't fully sure that I was going to enjoy for the rest of my life, or that I was even going to enjoy at all, or that was going to be right for me. I can say that I really felt like I had to have like some sort of strong affinity for whatever I was going to be um doing. So if I was going to major in psychology with the intentions of becoming a shrink, I felt like I had to be good at it in order for myself to actually pursue it. Otherwise, I was just setting myself up for failure. um not applying for scholarships. I'm gonna be a bit vulnerable here. When I was a senior in high school, I was pretty overwhelmed with the whole like applying to colleges and FAFSA and scholarships, and on top of having to do my schoolwork. Every Pretty much every scholarship and grant that you um could apply for wanted you to write an essay on why you were deserving, or they had some sort of prompt that you needed to fill out, that you needed to write about in order to get said scholarship. And the schoolwork was enough for me. I knew that scholarships would be extremely helpful and that it would benefit me to apply for scholarships, but I was already just so like overwhelmed and feeling behind trying to keep up with my schoolwork and making sure that my grades were the best that they could be, um and just like trying to understand like actually applying to schools and how FAFSA worked, um that I just applying to scholarships was so um I don't know, it was just like intense for me. It was not just scary, but I guess confusing. So I would just suggest that if you are certain you're going to college and you know what you want to go for, apply to as many scholarships as you can. I wish I had when I had the chance, just so I had made it a little bit easier on me, because a big concern of mine was the money aspect, and I think if I had felt more confident about having scholarships and knew that I was going to have a little bit of leeway, I wasn't going to have to lean so heavily into loans, that I might have been more willing to actually go to school. Applying to only 2 schools. So once again, I was just really um, overwhelmed by applying to schools. I didn't, I mean, I didn't really know what I wanted or where I wanted to go. I just knew that I wanted to go to school. That was really it. I had no idea what I was gonna major in, or what kind of school I was looking for, or um, anything like that. I didn't have a real plan. Once again, I've said that before, so it's just a testament to how true and like truly confused I was about school and what I was actually doing with my life. But I ended up applying to 2 schools because they seemed like the most fitting for me, and I also just didn't see the point in um, applying to a bunch of schools if I really only wanted to go to 2. Now, looking back, I can see that maybe applying to more schools would have been a better option just in case I didn't get into either one of those schools. But I wasn't thinking about that then. It was not a thought on my mind. I just said, these are the 2 schools that I really want to go to. I'm going to apply to them and be done with this. As I mentioned before, I was pretty overwhelmed with the whole experience and trying to figure out how college worked. They make college seem a lot easier than it is, right up until the moment where it's like, hey, start applying, and then they tell you all these complicated things rather than prepping you from an earlier age. I think it would be so much easier if they started it really explaining to you what applying to college looks like, maybe even 4 years before you even look into applying to college, because at least if you have the knowledge in your mind of how this works and what kind of work you're going to have to do, you're not feeling um blindsided and like all of this is coming to you at once when you're trying to do this, so that way you can kind of be prepared when you're going into it. and better manage your workload, sports, because I know a lot of people in school are doing sports. You're also working, um, and then on top of that, you have to apply to college, which to a lot of people that might not seem like a lot, but when you're 17, 18 years old in school, trying to keep up with the workload, trying to work to make money to, pay for your car insurance or pay for whatever, or just put money aside for college, whether it's for dorm room decorations or actually to just help yourself pay off school before you even start. Um, you also are playing sports on top of that, which sports are pretty demanding already when you're doing school and sports. And if you're working on top of that, those three things are like for any kid, that's just a lot. But having those three things and then adding on top of it that you have to spend extra time away from homework and work and sports, writing essays and looking into scholarships and applying to all scholarships and just trying your best to get into the best school. It is a lot. It's more than most people think. um and I think it would better benefit people, the kids who are upcoming, who are looking to go to college, if they were prepped earlier on. That's all I'm going to say about that. Being deferred by my top choice. I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I When I applied to my two schools, I applied to Stony Brook University in New York. Uh, Early admission first. So that was my top choice. It was my preferred school. I applied there um with no major. I was going there basically like undecided, and that meant that I was just going to spend my first year doing um a lot of my mandatory credits with extracurriculars in order to be able to dip my toes into different things and figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm pretty sure at Stony Brook you didn't have to actually make a decision on a major until your second year. Well, actually, like technically your junior year. By your junior year, you had to have a solid major, which gave you the first 2 years to really just get the like required classes out of the way. So you're not really behind in anything because you have to do the mandatory classes, and I think it's pretty typical for a lot of people to um focus heavily on their major and then end up left with their mandatory classes. I'm not really sure how, but I have heard that. And then so I would have been pretty much the opposite, where I was focused heavily on the required classes and then ended up with just my major left in the last 2 years with maybe a couple of mandatory classes. And then I also applied to Salem State University, um, regular admission as a biology major. Well, as I said, I got deferred from early admission by Stony Brook, which sent me into a really like big spiral. I just worry a lot. I thought, to me it was a rejection. Being deferred meant that they didn't want me. Um, I'd spent like a bit of time trying to figure out how to better my resume for school. So I did um volleyball my sophomore, junior, and senior year. On top of that, I worked. On top of that, I also did theater. On top of that, I also had joined an like a advisory mm, thing for school, these are all things I did in school to better my resume for college, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So after having done all those things and still being deferred, I really just took it as I was not good enough and they did not want me. And close, really soon after that, I ended up getting the acceptance from Salem State, and I just I panicked and I committed to them pretty much right away without even hearing if I was going to get accepted from Stony Brook. Visiting. So after I committed to Salem, I ended up finding out that I did get in regular admission. Um, but anyways, so after it was about the end of the school year, my senior year, and my parents and I packed up our truck and we went down to Salem to visit the school. We went and we took a tour, and I gotta say, it was then that I really panicked and was excited. I panicked because I was gonna be 2 hours away from home. Um, it was really becoming real. I wasn't gonna be able to just, pack up my bag for the day and then go to school and come home. I was going to be at school and then go home to a dorm room where my parents weren't gonna be there waiting for me. And you know, it was just a big decision. Um, it, I guess it just set in then that I was actually committing to a school and to a lifestyle, and that things were gonna change. But also, I was really excited because I wanted to go to college so bad. I wanted a life experience and to make new friends and to explore and have more space from my parents, have more freedoms. I also wanted to learn as much as I could. I was really, really excited about being able to take classes and doing homework, as stupid as that sounds. But I mean, I do love biology, and I really, really, really wanted to learn as much as I possibly could about the subject. So I was pretty excited about having that opportunity. Obviously, in the end, as you can tell, I did not go to college. I decided to take a gap year um, because I was still just so confused. I do love biology, but I wasn't sure, and I now know that it's not something that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life. I was really confused. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still don't know what I wanted to do. Maybe I will go back to school one day, but it's not going to be today. I don't think it's going to be next year. Um, who knows? Who knows? All I know right now is that I'm focusing on today. I spend a lot of time thinking about tomorrow and tomorrow's tomorrow and tomorrow's tomorrow, but I am focusing on today. I'm just trying to enjoy my life as much as I can right now while I'm still 20 years old, before I have kids, before I have some seriously scary responsibilities, before I have to maybe make choices that change my life forever. I'm not uh pushing these things off, but I am just trying to explore my options. So don't take this as me saying, "Oh, I'm not committing to college so that way I can mess around." I just don't think college is the only way to get to the end goal, which is a happy, healthy, secure life with beautiful children and a handsome husband and dogs. I think everybody's path looks different, and some people just take a little bit longer getting there, which is fine as long as you don't lose sight of the goal. Because once you lose sight of the goal, you become lost. So, yeah. Alright, that is all I have for today. The quote I'm gonna leave you with is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. I hope that resonates with you. Really just think about that one. It's simple, but it packs a punch. So, you know, just let it sit in there for a few minutes. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next. Say bye! Say bye!